Hi, good afternoon. This is Dr. Dara, and you are on Facebook Live with me right now. Let me know if you are on. Just checking out the technical stuff. I see a couple of you are popping on. Awesome. All right, so once again, this is Dr. Dara, and you are with Facebook Truth with Dr. Dara, and we are going to talk about the skinny on weight loss. I know that's a big thing going on. Everybody's talking about holidays and how it is so gluttonous, and as we hear all the time that Americans gain 10 pounds between October 31st and the new year. That is insane. That's like almost a quarter pound a day, right? Well, the good news is the holidays can be the best time to make some shifts. Let me see who's in here. I see a couple more of you. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Kristen. Madi. Hello, everybody. So please, if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in down here at the bottom, and I will try to answer them. And if I don't answer it, check again, because I feel like I'm blind as a bat looking into this camera. But I don't really know how blind bats are. But anyway. So, Truth with Dr. Dara, let's talk about the skinny on weight loss. Those of you who are on here are already one step ahead more than all these other people, because your mind is already setting an intention towards maintaining healthy and being well through the New Year's. So you're already getting a head start, because so many people are out there right now talking about all the New Year's resolutions that they are gonna do. But let's get it set right now and make a shift before the year even starts. Just a reminder for some of you, I'm doing a pre-shifts challenge in my Facebook group, Truth with Dr. Dara, and every day there's a different challenge that is posted, not necessarily around weight loss, but about prompting some things in our mind and getting ourselves thinking and getting into habits before the new year. So I'm going to slide into my first question, and again, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them down here and I will get to them. Earlier this week I talked about a question that I had gotten about trying every single diet and not having success. Well, the first thing that I want to address is thinking about trying to diet. The whole thing is wherever you put your mind is where your mind goes. So if all you're doing is talking about weight loss, believe it or not, your mind only hears weight, 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 and often what happens is it begins to gain weight instead of losing weight. I see somebody else popping on, Terry. I see it's up right there, Sal. It's almost impossible to lose weight before Christmas. Well, that's what we're going to address, because I think it's on the contrary. I think this is an optimal time, because going back a minute before we get back to the idea around what our mind is thinking, most people in the world, like even if they're in a drought, right, or there is a shortage and homes are not selling, there are still real estate agents selling houses. In fact, there's some people that take the attitude that I am going to just show up at the office, because even if nobody else is selling, I am, because there's still houses to sell. I know that may seem like a silly example, but what I'm thinking is that what people say, oh, it's the holiday time, so it's near impossible to lose weight. We can do it. First and foremost, we are setting the intention of the way that we want to do it before anything even starts. So adjusting the way that our mind thinks, getting in at the root of the belief. So if you're talking about nonstop about wanting to lose weight, once again, all your mind hears is weight, increasing the opportunity for weight gain, when that's exactly the opposite, hi Sue, that you're looking to achieve. So shift your mind in the way that you're talking. Start talking in a way as if it's already done. Talking in a way as if it's already done is going to program your mind towards doing that. I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little crazy, and some of you I'm going to get some opposition from. But if you are heavyweight people who are overweight, are not thinking thin thoughts. And people who have thin thoughts are not thinking overweight thoughts. I know I've got a couple of you like all in arms hearing that. But the idea behind that is because when somebody is overweight, often you'll hear them say things like, everything I eat just goes right to my hips, or everything I eat just changes the way my body is. Right there, you're giving a message to your mind that automatically when food goes in, it's going to have that reaction. Now, if you're talking about somebody with an eating disorder or disordered eating, I know that some of these thoughts and what I'm saying right now could be a little controversial. But if somebody is more on the thinner side or underweight, and you may hear something like, oh, I can eat a thing and it just doesn't affect my body. It makes me really think about that that's what their mind is thinking of it in that way, and believing that I can eat anything and it's not going to affect me. You know the old saying, you are what you eat? Well, that's of truth also. So if we're putting in foods with sugars and processed foods right then and there, it's automatically creating a shift. And along that shifts the way that we're thinking. So I don't know about you, but it alters my mood. So if I'm eating cookies and sugary things, I am automatically feeling that I have done something that I shouldn't have done, and I'm already thinking about how it's going to affect my tush, and it hasn't even digested. So before we get into specifics of food, let's really hone in on the messages that we're sending ourselves. And let's start talking to ourselves as if we want to be. So if I want to lose weight, I talk to myself as I've already lost weight. I am losing weight. I have lost weight. I love certain aspects of my body that I do respect and have admiration for. Because again, if I'm just focusing on, I hate my hips, I hate my hips, you know what's happening? There's more attention drawn towards your hips, and your hips are only expanding. Could you imagine your hips expanding during this conversation because we're thinking about the size of your hips? Well, I want you thinking about your hips exactly the way that you already want them, and drawing attention to the attributes that you do like physically about your body so that that can increase, and the attributes that you like about other people. I know sometimes that can be a little wonky because sometimes people say, well, I don't want to just focus, and that's all I do is focus how other people look. But yes, there is a very strong component that if I'm giving somebody a compliment or noticing with appreciation the way that somebody's waist is or their body, then that is drawing more attention and awareness towards my mind that that's where it wants to be. So far, how are we doing? Anybody have any questions? Okay, good. I see a couple more people. Helena and Glenn, don't you guys love when you can see me squinting in the phone to try to see who it is? They should make it like a little bit bigger. But I'm going to set an intention for my eyesight to continue to increase and optimize as we get into the new year. So my question this week was, I've tried every diet, and what do I do? So far what we've gotten is that we're going to stop talking about dieting and about the weight, and we're going to focus on where it is that we want to head. See, because your body doesn't hear no. Remember that. Your mind only hears the command. There's three kinds of people that are going on right now, right? There's three kinds of people in this time of year. There's the person who has already done everything and completed everything and is just laying back and taking it easy. The second kind of person is playing catch up. And the third person has achieved their goals and is still already trying to get into next year and get ahead. So when I say that, I want you to think about where your ideal body is and your weight loss goals along with that. Have you already achieved where you want to be and you're just gliding through, but maybe gliding through in a way that you're already not having awareness and feeling a little sloppy? Like maybe you lost some weight earlier this year and now you're like, oh, I'll just worry about it next year. Or are you on the other hand where you're playing catch up right now and you're out there ordering every diet food possible and looking up every single diet program to jump on, if that is you? Or the third person has lost some weight and they're continuing to make optimal choices and already thinking in a healthful way of how they're going to start the new year. So we're getting a pre-shift jump on all of this because you know what? There is less than 3 weeks, and it takes 3 weeks to make a habit. So if we can just implement 1% more than what we would have been doing, that would be 365% in a year. I know, really good math, right, Dara? But for right now, that would be 21%. I don't know about you, but I would be very happy if I showed a 21% increase in the year. So I'm just putting that as like a ding in the back of your head as we're talking. What would be something that I could do to create a bridge that would increase it 1% every day? Because often when it comes to weight loss, there's this idea of thinking you have to do it in such extremes. And it has to be, I'm going to lose 25 pounds before the new year. There's no way possible. If we lost that much weight and all of us lost that much weight, we would have already lost a baby elephant before the New Year's. Just checking in. I see a few more of you. Hi, Sue. Good topic. Yay. And I see, oh, my mom is on. Great, hi mom. I recognize that name. And Debbie saying, catching up, wanna be cruising. Exactly, catching up, wanna be cruising. So let's get you cruising today, making that decision of what that 1% is gonna look like. Jacqueline, hi. I'm getting you guys from all over the country. This is awesome. So let's get really clear at what our goals are. So we set our intention of what we want. So right now in your head, I want you to think of, I want blank within my body or in my nutrition for 2019. You guys got it? Good. So that's already set in your mind. Next, you're going to think about goals and expectations, because the idea is if I am setting realistic goals, it's done in a way that I can do the 1% every day. Let's talk about expectations for a second. First of all, when I say the word expectation, I get wrinkles. Do you see it? Like I get wrinkles in my forehead, and I even feel like my tush tightening, because it just feels like an intense word that creates a sense of like this. So expectations would be, if my goal is to lose 5 pounds and I only lose 4, if the expectation is there, I feel very defeated. I feel very defeated, and then I also find a place that I think it's the things outside of me that have caused it to happen. So if I've only lost 4 pounds, I'm thinking in a way that it was my food plan that didn't do it, or my trainer didn't do it, and I'm thinking I might as well stop before it gets any worse. I feel very blocked and boxed in to what my ideas are. If my goal is to lose 5 pounds and I've only lost 4, look, it relieved the wrinkles in my face talking about goals. If I've only lost 4 pounds and my goal is 5 pounds, what happens is it opens up opportunity. It opens up opportunity that even if I don't lose 6, or if I only have lost 4 pounds, I could possibly lose 6 pounds. And it goes back to being like, well, what can I do to shift it or change it to achieve it? So it gives us this idea or this opening of back to the drawing, let's see how I can optimize it. Checking in. Carlos, I see that you're on. Good to have you. Never set expectations. Exactly, Jacqueline, because it only gets you stuck. And then you're not where you want to go. And once you feel a sense of failure towards it, you're done. You're kaput. There's nothing else that you're wanting to do to move forward. So, Jacqueline, thanks for supporting that. We want to be setting goals. Goals that are realistic. So, like I mentioned before, to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to gain or I'm gonna lose, because I must say I'm talking about weight loss, but there are people out there that have goals of transformative experiences in their body. It doesn't just have to be about losing weight. It could be about gaining weight. It could be about having a healthier lifestyle, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. If we all set an intention of our goal, not necessarily to be to lose weight, but to have a healthier lifestyle, bingo, we're drawing so much energy towards achieving that, because then our mind is not feeling pressed on the expectation, and it's feeling as if it's flowing towards the goal. So if we're looking how to optimize health on a daily basis, 1%, we're in there. We're creating the bridge and setting realistic things that we can do. And again, I saw a question earlier about how do you do this during the holidays? Perfect time around the holidays. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're planning. You ever hear the expression, planning to, or not, failure to plan is a plan to fail, correct? Exactly, Debbie. Eating what would be good to have eaten. Doing what would be good to have done. So if I am setting up a plan of what I'm going to do, I'm already putting it out there to make it possible for it to happen. Now, all of you know me. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and I think back when they were a baby, and even so now, I cannot leave the house without feeding them, right? Because they would get hangry, and sometimes it's even greater than that. My mom is on. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I've got to keep the momentum going. I've got to plan for it ahead of time and know exactly what they're going to do. I want us to do that for ourselves. If we plan it ahead, then it's available for us. It doesn't mean that you have to have master meals made up, but it can be that you're already setting up what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, having an idea. Right now, I want you to think, how many meals would be optimal for you to eat? I don't want you to think about how you're going to do it. I just want you to think about how many you would want. So the same thing carries over with exercise. And I got news for you. You've got to make it realistic to your life, because if not, it turns into expectations. And if it's not realistic to your life, you are not going to achieve it. If you are a nurse and you work a 12-hour shift, you cannot think that you're going to be able to get exercise in if you haven't actively been exercising before. You would want to set it that I'm going to go walking for 20 minutes, or I'm going to go park my car 10 spots farther than where I normally park so that I can get myself moving before and after my shifts. Just like with meals. If you're working a 12-hour shift, be realistic about the meal that you're going to be able to get during that time. So let's transition this into the holidays some. If you know that you're going to a party, plan it ahead of time. Number one, do not starve yourself. Oh my gosh, I hear that all the time. Going back, if I had a child, I would not starve them until they got to the birthday party, right? I would feed them accordingly in the same capacity, whether they're going to a party or not. So stay in your game. When I'm working with athletes, the number one thing I tell them is to play their game. Don't play other people's. Because if you're trying to play other people's, you lose yourself in it. So do not go to a party hungry. Pre-plan your meals as you're going to do it. And accountability is crucial. I mean, you know how you hear misery loves company? Yeah, that's why people sit around in groups commiserating about the weight that they've gained. Have you been to an office party, or have you been to a room where, well, what is it called? Office lounge or something? People just talk about all the things that they're not doing and how sad they are that they haven't done the goals or lost the weight that they want to lose. Well, let's have teams that are going to bring us up, because water seeks its own level. And if you want to be a champion with this, you've got to hang out with champions. So hang out and get other people that have the same interest as you do, and do it with accountability. Check in with them, let them know, ask them what their plans are, and bring somebody with you. Do not go to a stressful holiday situation that you know is going to create stress, where you knows that you're going to create emotional eating and it's going to turn into a binge fest. Invite somebody to go with you. Bring a buffer and have a plan. All right, checking in with you guys. I see a couple things up on the screen. Are there any questions? All right, I'm going to move on to my next area about the idea of, but others make it look so easy and I feel like a failure. Well, I got news for you. You've got to stop comparing your insides to everybody else's outsides. You know, you can't compare your beginning to somebody else's end. And my gosh, social media is the death of us. It is sucking out our joy. What you see on social media does not mean what is realistic. I mean, how many people are writing on social media how they feel devastated because they just binged their tush off after an office party because they felt so depressed? No, it's not on there. You're hearing stories about people looking all svelte and great. So be in your own bubble, in your own game, not focusing on what other people are doing. Because if you're trying to keep up to what they're doing, it's never going to work, because it's bio individuality, and what works for them is most certainly not going to work for you. That's why a lot of these diets that are out there are not working for us, because they're not designed for you. They're designed for somebody else. It doesn't mean that it won't work, but it means you won't stick with it. Because just like exercise, if it's not fun, if it doesn't feel like it has some value, you're not going to do it. So you want your food to be the same way. You don't have to have like the best time with it, but there's got to be some part of it that feels simple and has some ease. So we've got to get creative. And for a lot of us, this is like learning, I call it food and ease, right? It's a foreign language. If it's not something that you're familiar with, it's going to be very challenging to do it. If I dropped you guys off in a foreign country right now and you didn't know the language, there would be some blundering. There would be some challenging with acclimating. Would you not agree? So if you are adopting and adapting to different lifestyle and making some changes, it takes time. So this idea of thinking I'm going to lose 20 pounds before the New Year's is setting yourself up for failure. But what we can do is create some health impactful lifestyle and changes that are realistic, that can switch and be things that you could hold on to. So again, right now, I want you to be thinking, what is my intention and what can I do today? Because holding on to that idea of what I'm gonna do on Monday is going to mess you up, and then you end up shooting all over yourself continuously. So moving on to the next question. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them down here, or any comments. So, how do I do it? How do I piece it all together? Well, you know, it's not just about the food. So we've already decided that it's about the way that our mind is thinking about things. And thank you, Debbie, doing what would be good to have done and eating what would be good to have eaten. But it's also a full package, because it's about making sure that your schedule is realistic, that the exercise you're doing is something that you can do and you can keep up doing with it. Because if you decide today that your new exercise is going to be rock climbing and you live in South Florida, that is not a realistic goal. But again, you can just park a couple steps away or go for a 5-minute walk. So our exercise being invigorating and fun. I mean, you could be doing this right now while you're walking around. We should do that. We should go for a Facebook Live walk, and we can all do it together. The other thing is your rest. People often are having difficulty losing weight because they haven't slept. And when I talk about sleep and rest, it's also about your downtime. So creating an organized structure around it. It's their integrity in your life. As you have integrity in your life in other areas, it carries over. Lauren, I see you have a question. How much exercise would be a good goal? You know, that's a great question. The reality of it is anything that you're doing more than you did before is what's good. So we have to assess where each of you are at individually, because often what happens is people are setting goals that isn't realistic. If you're somebody that is not doing any exercise right now, I am so good with you getting out this week 1 or 2 times for 5 to 10 minutes if that's more than what you've done before. But if you're an avid exerciser, then you would want to increase it accordingly. So that's what you want to ask yourself, is what you're doing now and what your intention is, and setting it realistically so that you can maintain it. I mean, Lauren, you're a mom, you have 2 kids, a full-time job. So in your circumstance, it would be, well, where are you gonna put it? You know, as you guys know, I am an obnoxious early morning person, and that's when I get my exercise jamming, right? But for other people, that is not gonna work. So setting your alarm at 4 or 5 in the morning and getting up and feeling miserable and guilty because you didn't do what you set out to do is not gonna create an optimal time. So let's get 1 minute and do anything more than what you were doing before. Progress, not perfection. So as we're closing this up, I just want to touch base with you guys and just really remind you that it is the way that you're setting it out, how you want it to be. Playing in your own game, keeping your own style. You know, food and ease, your language and how you describe it, and what is going to work best for you. Because what works best for me is not going to be specific to Debbie and Lauren and all of the other people that are on here right now and continuing to watch. So join me in my Facebook group where you can ask questions anytime, anything, any questions, whether it's around weight loss or any topics. Also join the challenge. Continue coming in January. I am setting an intention that I'm going to do weekly Facebook Lives, because someone said to me, well, how do I know when you're on? And I don't know about you, but when Grey's Anatomy is on, I'm checking for it every Thursday. And even if I can't tune in, I am setting my DVR for it. So this way it will be recorded and we can stay in closer contact. I see somebody else just jumped on. Nicole, great to have you on. So, Dr. Dara here, Truth with Dr. Dara. Keep the awesome questions coming, the great feedback. Join the challenge. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter on my website at drdara.com, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.